I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. Today, my top 10 most wanted games. Now, I do have a pretty big want list. You can view it online if you want. It's on one of those Google Sheets. There's a link on bigcalsworld.co.uk. If you go on the left-hand side with all the links to the sections, there'll be a link there for it. And there are a lot of games there that are quite expensive and things like that. But just because I want them doesn't mean that I want those expensive ones the most. So this list is just games that some of them I could buy anytime I want, really. It's just I'm always kind of put off, should I spend that kind of money on it just now when I could get 2 or 3 games for the same price and things like that. So these are just the top 10 games that I want right now that, with any luck, within the next year I will actually buy. So, no order, by the way, for these, just because Christ knows what kind of order I put them in anyway. But anyway, cheated a little bit because there are 2 here, but these are 2 US exclusive wrestling games that I definitely want. WCW ones. The first is Super Brawl on the Super Nintendo, so it's NTSC version. It's very hard to come across over here in the UK, even on eBay. It's very rare I see it come up, and when I do, the game itself, not too pricey. Shipping, usually more than what the game costs, and I'm not really willing to pay that just yet. And then there is also Main Event for the Game Boy. Again, it only came out in the US, region free of course, so no problems with that, although the SNES game I've got a converter anyway, an adapter, so I can play it. But again, very rarely see it online to buy. So while neither game is particularly expensive, it's just hard to come by over here in the UK, even to import it, and then shipping usually ramps up the price to double. Luigis Mansion on the GameCube. I so regret not buying this years ago when it was about £12, because now it's gone up to at least £20. When I was at the retro gaming market last month, this had gone up to about £25 to £30 depending on the seller, and I'm just not willing to pay that price. I do want the game. I'll be happy-ish to pay 20 for it. It's like, I don't really want to pay 20 for it. I could have got it for 12 a few years ago, and I just kept putting it off because I think I'll get it another time. And now it's gone up in price. It's like I don't really want to part with 20 quid for the game, even though it's still a good price. But yeah, so I'll definitely probably pick this one up fairly soon because I really want to play through it again. I haven't played it, since the days that my brother had the GameCube. So definitely want that at some point. The next one is Excitebots Trick Racing. Yeah, that's the full title on the Nintendo Wii. Excite Truck. I did a review recently on it. One of my favourite Wii games. Amazing game. Takes everything about Excite bikes and makes it better. In 3D levels, proper tracks rather than a circle, trucks instead of bikes. And it's just so much fun. And then the sequel never came out in Europe. In Japan, I believe it was even harder to get than in America, because in Japan I think it was just exclusive to like the Nintendo, the points thing. It's my Nintendo now, whatever it was before, you could only get it through that. US, easy to get hold of because it was actually released there. But it never came out in the UK, and I want it so bad because I love the first Excite Truck. Of course, never come across this game. It's very rare that I actually see non-PAL Wii games about. I occasionally come across the odd Japanese one, but that's about it. Very, very... In fact, I can't even remember any time that I've come across an NTSC Wii game in the wild. So again, getting hold of this in the UK is damn near impossible. I've never seen it anywhere to buy. Even on eBay, it's not that hard to come by. When it is, again, the price usually isn't too bad. It's just the shipping fees from America. And I currently have at the moment a still sealed Nintendo Wii freeloader disc, specifically bought for when I get around to buying this game at some point in time so I can play it. Next is a DS game, and it's one of those again that it's like I could have bought it a few years ago at this price, but I still didn't want to pay that then, and now it keeps going up and up and up, and it is Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Salience. It is a fantastic game. It is basically a traditional JRPG, but set in the world of Dragon Ball Z. You start off the Piccolo Junior saga from Dragon Ball, for some reason, not really sure why, and then it goes all the way up to the fight with Vegeta and Nappa. And then it teases the Frieza saga at the end, and we never got a sequel. And I hate that, because I really want a sequel. But the game is fantastic. It plays just like a traditional JRPG, but with Dragon Ball characters, Dragon Ball attacks, and things like that. You level up, you get all the different levels you can go to, you collect Dragon Balls. There are a few secrets here and there, like there's a secret Broly fight that you can do, things like that. And I just love it. And I've been after it for a while. It's either sold out on sites, it's at a decentish price, and I only saw it once last year at the big retro gaming market. I was about to buy it for 25 quid, and then when I picked it up and looked at the back, the case was destroyed at the back, and there was like puncture holes going straight through the case into the cover and that, and it just looked like a complete mess at the back. It's like one of my favourite games. I don't want a shoddy copy of it. So, yeah, and even on eBay now, if you can find it, complete in box, it's going for like £30+ now. And half the time, it's just the carts that people are selling. It's like, no, I do not want just a DS cartridge. I want it in the fucking box. Okay? So that's another one of those games, the price just keeps going up. It's like, I want to buy it, but it keeps going up in price. I don't want to spend that much on it, but I'm going to have to soon. I'm going to have to drop the money on it before it goes up too high. Another wrestling game on my want list is WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, on PlayStation 1. Now, I do want this on other consoles. It was released on the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, I believe. But the PS1 version is the one I want the most and want first, just because I had this one growing up. And it is the final PAL wrestling game I need for my PS1 collection. Once I've got this, I have, as far as I'm aware, all of the PlayStation 1 PAL wrestling games, the WCW ones, the ECW, the Japanese ones. There's a couple of, what is it called? I think there's just one that's sort of Japanese wrestling, but it is a PAL release. And of course the WWF/WWE games. So the last one I need, but again, it's one of those that keeps going up in price. And it's not often I see it either. I was looking for this a couple of times at the retro gaming markets, and In Your House was the other one I needed at the time. I was able to pick that one up fairly easy. WrestleMania, the arcade game, very rare I see it, and again, when it's on eBay now, it's either disc only or the case is, well, not so much the case, I can replace the case, but the cover is usually shit, the manual's missing or in bad condition. It's like, I want a good version of it to go along with my wrestling game collection. So again, it's going up in price, sometimes not as easy to get as you might think, but one day I shall buy it. The next game is for the PS2, although I think there was an Xbox release for it as well, and that is Ty 3, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. The first two games came out here in the UK just fine. The third game, either looking at an NTSC copy, which no good for me, or the PAL version did come out in limited quantities in Australia. That's the only place, and it only came out on PS2, and I think there was an Xbox version. It's very hard to get hold of, very difficult to come across, very, very rare I see this. Even searching on eBay, not often I even see it come up. And now, because people have realised it was limited quantity and it's the only PAL version available, the price has shot up. It's not even particularly a great game from what I understand, but I own the first two. I love 3D platformers. I want it to complete my collection. I want the PAL version so I can actually play it. I want to add it to my collection, but it's going up in price and it is extraordinarily difficult to get hold of. Not just here in the UK, but even in Australia. Not that easy to get hold of there, and that's where it was released. So, Next is a PlayStation 3 game, and it is The Godfather, the Don edition, or the Don's edition. One of the two. Love the Godfather game. The first one, I own the original version on the PS2. I also played the PC version back in the day from my friend. He had it, but the PS2 version, the original one, I do own. The limited edition anyway, in the steel book with a bonus disc. I don't own the casket version, I would like that. Then the Wii version, I love the Wii version. The Black Hand edition has a bunch of updates to it. And then the PS3 version, the Don's edition, got all the Black Hand edition additional content plus more just for the PS3 version, and I really want it. And this is another one of those games that's going up in price again now. It's fairly easy to get hold of, but it keeps going up in price and going up in price, so I'll definitely have to pick this one up as soon as possible before it goes up too much, because I absolutely adore that game and I would love to play through it again, but with even more additional content, because it's just fantastic. Next we have Stubbs the Zombie. I think there's a little tagline for it as well, the title, Rebel Without a Pulse, or something like that. And it is the last game I want on the original Xbox. It's on my want list. It's the one and only game on there. There were a bunch of games that I could potentially get for the Xbox because of the multi-platform, but just now they may be on my PS2 or GameCube list, but if I see them for the Xbox, I could very well pick them up, but they're not on the actual want list. Stubbs the Zombie is the final game on my want list, and it's fucking expensive. It's like £35 usually when I see it, and even then, again, it's not very often. It is fairly easy to get hold of, I think, if you go on eBay and places like that, but again, the price is going up slowly and slowly, because, lots of people now are wanting it, and yeah, it probably didn't sell as well, so not that many copies out there, so that's why the price is going up. More people are wanting it as well. But it is the last official game on my Xbox want list that I absolutely, definitely want. Another RPG game on the DS, Pokemon Soul Silver. The original Silver game is one of my favourite Pokemon games of all time. I think it was one of my top 10 games of all time in a list I did a while back on bigcalsworld.co.uk, written list. I clocked in way over 100 hours back in the day, and since then I rebought the cartridge. I played through it a couple of times. Soul Silver I have played. So I had an R4 cartridge back in the day for the original DS. And yeah, I played like crazy through it. It's fantastic. You've still got the original game, but updated, for the DS gameplay, graphics, tons of additional content, and it basically made the best Pokemon game even more perfect. And I want it, but it is constantly going up in price. It's never been cheap. In fact, it probably would have been cheaper if I bought it when it was first released, because now pre-owned copies are dearer than what brand new DS games were back in the day. And then if you want the one in the big box with the Pokewalker, you're looking at about 70 quid for that, and not usually in the best of condition either from what I've seen it. So again, it's one of those games, it keeps going up in price, but I don't want to pay that price for it to begin with. So I just have to keep having to look out for it and hope I can come across a bargain at some point in time, which sadly is very rare for me these days for certain games to get bargains on. Charity shops and things like that around here, if they have any games, it's all shitty sports games that nobody buys, so I never come across any true bargains like that. Car boot sales, they're pretty much dead. So it's the internet or nothing for me most of the time, and the price is not good. Too expensive for me, but I really want it still. Last but not least, a SNES game, another NTSC game, Super Mario RPG. Yeah, this is one of the more expensive games on my list. It wasn't released in the UK, so I've got to go with the NTSC version and hope that it will play on my converter for starters, on my adapter thing, because it's one of those weird cartridges where sometimes certain adapters and converters didn't work for it. But I would at least like to own the cartridge and then, emulate it or something. because I want to own the physical cartridge of that game, because I just love Super Mario, I love the SNES games with anything to do with Mario, and I love the Mario RPG games right now that we're getting, the Mario Luigi games. I do enjoy the Paper Mario games as well, even the newer ones. But I would definitely love to have the true original Mario RPG. But again, it only came out in America, so getting it over here, not exactly the cheapest method of doing it. I could go with a reproduction cartridge, one that will probably work on power consoles, but yeah, I want the original cartridge. I would love the big box version of it, similar with Earthbound as well. That almost made my list, but at least Earthbound I do have on the Virtual Console, the Wii U. I'm not entirely sure Super Mario RPG came out over here on the Virtual Console. It might have done, but I don't think I own it. It might have come out on the Wii one, not the Wii U, but yeah, I want the cartridge. I want to own the fucking cartridge. I want to put it in my Super Nintendo. I want to play it on my Super Nintendo. So yeah, one day, hopefully, I'll come across this and buy it. I mean, I did just recently get the Turtles in Time NTSC version for a really good price, so if I could get this game for that same price, 35 quid, I would be very, very happy. But yeah, odds of that, probably not too high. So those are my current top 10 most wanted games, my want list. Again, there are tons of rarer, more expensive games on my want list, but just because they are rare and expensive doesn't mean I want them first. It just means that one day I would like to own them. These are the ones I would very much like to own pretty soon, be able to play through them again or for the first time, and just have them in my collection. So, I'm bigcal, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.